This is the Stop Playing podcast with Sham and Shaka. I'm Sham.
I'm Shaka. What's going on, Sham?
Hey, man. Saturday afternoon.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. You know, it's football on, but I don't really care about it.
It's college football.
Yeah, and I wasn't the biggest college football fan before, but if I was bored on Saturday, it was something to watch. But now it's like, it just rings hollow to me. They shouldn't be playing.
They really shouldn't be playing, especially with the amount of COVID cases that
exactly
keep popping up.
That's and like half of them are playing, and half of them aren't. Like a lot of them haven't even started yet. They're gonna start like next week. So it's just they're all over the place.
It seems so forced.
Yes,
so forced.
Definitely,
and it is forced.
It is forced.
To be fair. So
yeah, but other than that, though, the weather's been it really feels like autumn. You know what I mean?
It's been up and down. It's crazy because last night I was out driving around and it was like cold. And then, today I'm like, oh my God, I'm hot.
Yeah.
So it's up and down, but I like this weather because I don't have to turn on my heat or air conditioner in my house and I save so much money. Correct.
And actually on that same vein, I made an improvement at my house that also, because I know it's autumn and I know cold's around the corner. So fix some areas, especially around my door, stop wind from coming in. To your point, it was because I was like, not trying to have a high gas bill, and I don't have to use air conditioning right now. But even when I do, so this is the adulting phase where like that kind of stuff brings me joy. Other than like as opposed to thinking about like I still miss brunch. I definitely still miss brunch, and I still miss all that. But making those kinds of plans, that's like that brings me happiness.
You ain't lying. Like, I'm new to home ownership, as we all know, but like, living in this spacious 3-level townhome, it seems like it's a lot of space. And then when I looked at my BGE bill, it said $72. I was like, when? Yeah.
When you get a low bill, you're like, I'm smart.
Right. I'm so smart.
Like, I figured this thing out. This thing called life. I got a low bill. Yeah. I be turning lights off when I leave rooms and stuff. All that stuff my mother used to say. I feel like I bring her up every show, but seriously, every time I go to her house, she be like, that's the one place I don't know how to turn the light off, apparently.
Yeah, because you're not paying for it.
Right. Like I'll leave a room. She'll be like, did you turn the light off in that room? And I'll just immediately revert to childhood like, nah. Yeah, sorry.
It's funny. Those same habits you could like literally do at everyone else's house.
Exactly. Exactly. But nah, I get it. But nah, it's good. Look, so how's your week been?
It's been pretty good. Our week has been excellent collectively as well. I mean, we announced last week that we were ranked 237 on the US Apple podcast. And look, that was like a shock to the system for me, and also amazing because we knew that we were charting well in Russia and Ukraine, which we still
shout out to the Russians. Right. They down for us. They've been down for us.
They have been. But when people start listening to you at home, it's like, yes. And so then I checked the other day and we have moved up to like 115, even from the 237.
So that's essentially half, right? So the funny thing about rankings like that just goes to show, I mean, there's not much of a difference between, meaning we're gathering steam, and I expect us to keep shooting up very quickly because the delta between all these rankings is nothing. Exactly. There's probably one listener in between us and 237 and 236. So my point being, every time you guys listen to us, you shoot us up. And then momentum builds on itself. When we announce that, when we put that on our pages, then I noticed, and this is just how life works, a lot of people knew we had a podcast.
Right.
You were like, whoa, I'm going to start listening. It's like, all right, cool. Well, thank you.
It's only been 2 years since I first told you about it, but thanks.
No problem. Thanks anyway. But no, listen, we're happy to get you guys because we understand it's a saturated market. 238 is a big deal. To us, it's like 10,000 podcasts out there. So that's a big deal. And then 115 is a big deal. And then next week, when we're in the double digits, and then one day when we get to the single digits, then it'll be really a big deal.
It'll be a party.
All these promises I've made, like when we get to single digits, I'm going to do this. You know, when you get to single digits fans, because I'm one of these fans, they pull your receipts. They'll be like, episode 49, you said when you would get to number 5, you would do this. It's like, I never said that. And then they play it for you. And it's crazy because when I be looking at stars talking about their work, like on TV, and they be forgetting episodes of, they'll be like, man, this episode once, I forgot what it was called. It was like, it was called this, and you were doing this. Like, people gonna do that to us. Oh man, but yes, it's been very exciting. I've been very excited. But personally, for you, any news this week?
Oh no. Before we get into any anecdotes, I just want to shout out some areas that are new. Yeah. Minnesota. I don't think we know anybody in Minnesota, but thank you.
We do.
We do.
Our 500th listener, her name was Kat. I brought her up. She is in Minnesota. Now, I'm not sure if this is her, but I feel obligated because she was our 500. She was our 50th subscriber on YouTube, not our 500th.
Ah, nice.
Yeah, and I shouted her out a couple episodes ago, and I know she's in Minnesota, but that might not be her.
Hey, if it's her, it's great. And maybe she told some friends. Because remember when we first started this whole analytics thing, we had a lot of people from California and Michigan.
Yes.
And I feel like there are many states who have surpassed them now. Virginia, Minnesota, Texas, Delaware, Hawaii. Thank you. Aloha.
Aloha. I need to get out there.
Who you tell? And internationally, Switzerland. Switzerland has been holding us down for the last month or so. So I want to say thank you to them. And unlike Americans, where we are only taught to speak one language, in Switzerland, they speak 4. I'm not even going to attempt it right now. So, but one of them is English. So thank you for listening.
Thank you guys for listening. Listen, if you're holding us down like that, we might need to move some money over there if things keep going this direction in the economy. So look out for that. Open us an account. Oh man. All
right. So what's been going on with you this week?
Listen, I'm going to preface this by saying the DMV in DC has gotten a lot better since I've been a kid. So everybody has their bad DMV stories, and DMVs have been kind of going through a strange place since COVID. And I get that. But I will say over the last few years, DMV in DC has been spectacular, actually. You can make an appointment, you go down there, you're in and out. So I had to do something at the DMV. Unimportant, but I had to do something down there that required me to go. So they have this big process. You got to make an appointment, of course. You make your appointment. You go down there. Now, when I went, it was literally like 8:39 in the morning. You go in there. There's nobody there because, I mean, they space out the slots such that there can't be but so many people. So, Sham, it literally was 15 people in the DMV behind the counter chilling. And then I get there and get my appointment.
I love government employees.
You already know where this is going. This is, I mean, a spectacular display. They're all chilling. They're just living their best life in there. Laughing it up, kicking it up. They got the little places where you can sit and all that distance. I go in there. I arrive 5 minutes early for my appointments.
Oh, look at you.
The first lady gives it to, she's cool. And then she says, all right, go back there and sit. We're going to call you on the little ticker. I'm the only person sitting in there.
Of course you are.
I'm the only person sitting in there. No, I apologize. There was one person who was getting served at the booth, and he was going through it. And he was having a dispute, and I could hear it because I was the only person going in there. So they were giving him a hard time. So I was like, okay, this is the kind of day it's going to be. They wait till my appointment time comes. That's the 5 minutes. 5 minutes after that. So I'm still sitting there like, okay, all these people are not busy. Can my ticket get called? Finally, my ticket gets called. I go up there. I start filling out paperwork. They immediately tell me I'm going to have to come back for something else, which was not advertised in the process online. And I was like, all right, fine. That's fine. When? January. It's October. What? Y'all are not busy. I was like, nah, really? They were like, oh, you could do something virtual online. Okay, yes, let's do that. Because y'all are not busy. She said, all right, fill out this form and then I'll be right back. I fill out the form, Sham, in 60 seconds. This woman goes and takes a phone call in my sight. That is totally not business. She goes to a desk. She's on the phone and starts laughing it up and kikiing it up like it's nothing. And the worst part is the transaction is not finished until she takes my form back and processes it. So I'm at her mercy at this moment. I have to wait for her to take the form that I'm filling out back so she could put the information in the system so I can leave. And she's looking me dead in my eyes. I'm looking at her like that phone call doesn't look like business at all. And even if it was, there are 14 other people sitting around who could have answered that phone. She's laughing. Sham, 10 minutes. I'm not playing with you. I'm not playing with you. I look at my watch. I'm doing whatever. I'm kind of standing there. So finally she gets back. She's kind of like, she's laughing so hard, she's basically out of breath when she gets back. Like, oh, okay. And I'm like, there's my form. Sham. She's typing the information that I put on the form, and she types it with one finger. Like she's a one finger typer.
Hunt and peck.
Yes.
Hunt and peck.
Yes. Like a damn bird sitting there typing, and steam is coming out my ears. And I'm sitting there like, and she started asking me questions. I was like, just short answers. She was like, what does this say? And I give my email address because she couldn't read it. And I was like, that's my email address. And she's like, okay, so do you need anything else? No, thank you. Thank you very much. I'm leaving. Thank you. I'm not usually short with people in public or rude. I just had to vent on that because I was fresh on that. DC DMV. I'm telling y'all were good in my eyes until this experience right here. COVID is not a reason. When people make an appointment to do something, y'all need to be on the ball. Y'all are the ones making people make appointments, and I understand why. But if somebody come in there, you only got one customer, service them quickly and let them get out of there. That's it. I'm good. I got it out. That's why you have a podcast, so you get stuff out like that.
So in total, how long did the experience take?
Oh, an hour. And it should have taken, this was a 10-minute exercise at most. And that was if I stumbled over my writing. This was 5 minutes. I made an appointment. I was sitting there telling work like, oh man, I don't got to take off work for this. Because like I'm going to be back by like 10 o'clock. Appointment's at 8:30. Yeah, whatever.
God bless the Department of Motor Vehicles in any state.
Living their best life down there.
Always.
I mean, this was only one place, one of the locations, so I can't speak for everybody else. But I got what I needed taken care of. Got a virtual thing online, and then we're done.
Yeah. I went down there recently for something myself, and surprisingly, everything worked out efficiently. I mean, granted, that was the second time I had to go, but the second time, it actually went efficiently. And the lady who was helping me was learning as I was how to handle the situation. But I mean, she handled it in stride, and we were done in less than 20 minutes. So that's
cool. She was transparent. Like, I'm learning how to do this myself.
Yeah.
That's cool. I like when people do that. I mean, no need to, don't fumble your way through it if you don't know what you're doing. You know what I'm saying? Let me know that. So that's
exactly.
Cool.
She called for help a couple times. Lady came and helped her, and it went smoothly after that. So,
and you know what? I was debating whether to say this or not, but now I'm gonna say it. It was our people. It was all our people. All of our people. Everybody that was involved in what I'm talking about was us, Black people. Stop doing that.
I feel like every DMV is like 80% Black.
Yeah,
it's like
giving us a bad name down there, man.
Oh, I can't remember how many white people I've actually seen working at a DMV.
What? See, look, man, I'm gonna just go ahead and say white people wouldn't have tolerated
other races.
White people wouldn't have tolerated that. I could tell you, look, we got 6 DMV locations in DC. I could tell you where this didn't happen, Georgetown. Because those people would have been fired. Because there would have been letters writing all over the place. Sham, I know you like to do that. I ain't trying to call you a white person, but I mean, white people are good for that. They will go home and get that pen out ASAP.
I've been called white before.
They need to take a look at your government name. All right, let's get to the story.
Before we get into the stories, let me remind people how they can find us.
Do I want people to follow us? Because I always just leap right over there. Yeah, you go ahead. Go ahead.
If you're listening to us already, you're on one of the following platforms, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, or wherever you can find us on your favorite podcast app. You can reach out to us on Facebook and Instagram at the Stop Playing Podcast and on Twitter at Stop_Playing Pod. Check us out on our forthcoming website, www.stopplayinpodcast.com, and subscribe to us on YouTube.
Mm-hmm. Excellent. Yeah, man. We on so many platforms. We had to get on the platform umbrella.
Right. We about to be added to another one. Pandora is coming very soon.
Yep.
So
we're in good shape.
Let's get into it.
Yeah. So, quantity wise, it's not a lot of stories, but the stories that we do have a lot of meat to them. I can't wait to get to a couple of these, but just brass tacks out the gate. Some serious announcements. So Kamala Harris, have we gotten the names of the people yet who, and we don't need them, but a couple of members of her party, her entourage, have caught COVID. So Kamala Harris has now had to suspend her campaign activities until everyone can get properly tested, including herself, and cleared.
Yeah, it was her aide.
Okay. I thought it was two people.
And so it was another person as well. But I know, most notably, it was her aide that had caught it.
So this is somebody, close to her. So she has to stop what she's doing to do that. But she's been doing a great job. We've already talked about the debate last week and the campaign in general. They haven't hit too many roadblocks. Another COVID announcement that we'll get into, not get into, but related to 45. We'll get into him later. Melania Trump, the first lady, announced that Barron had COVID and has now recovered. So this happened at some point. They announced that this week. So obviously, he's a teenager. We want to make sure that he's okay and she's okay. But I wonder, now he's been virtually schooled, so he didn't have to go to school. But I do wonder what the protocol has been around the White House. People are now calling the White House like a super spreader zone in and of itself.
Yes, I did see that. About Barron. Yeah. I think you pointed out to me how tall he had gotten.
The young man is gigantic.
He's huge.
Yes.
And when I saw him, and obviously he takes a lot after his mother, because I can see the ethnicity coming through him.
Really?
More so, I think he looks. Okay. Where is she Russian? Where is she from?
Eastern European. Yeah,
she's Eastern European of some sort. And you can see that in him. So when I saw him, I was like, dang, you know what it reminded me of? Because he's so tall and he's taller than his father.
Right. Which is crazy.
Remember Rocky IV?
Dolph Lundgren?
Oh my God.
Drago?
Not exactly Drago, but he looked like he could get in the ring and be with Drago. Like he's that big and broad.
Well, okay. So I guess because he's so tall, all that makes me think of, because 45's tall, you know what I'm saying? And his family's tall, like they showed it now, his late brother. But he comes from a tall family. So whenever I see Barron, I just think, okay, well, he got his height from his father. Because I want to see 45 is like 6'4". You know what I'm saying? He's very tall. And so that makes Barron like 6'5", 6'6". I mean,
at least.
Yeah. And I mean, he's got to be what, 15, 16? I mean, he's not even 18. But yeah, no, he is very tall. But I've never really kind of looked really at his features. But to your point, he doesn't look a lot. He's not. I kind of see what you're saying now that I'm thinking about it. You look at Eric and you look at especially Dawn Jr. and it's like, especially in the face, they look just like him.
She's from Slovenia.
Slovenia, okay, right.
And he looks every bit of Slovenian to me in the picture that they showed us this week. And I'm like, man, he could be he looks like a Slovenian athlete. Like he's big.
Yeah, he definitely is a tall young man. But yeah, he's recovered. So Melania announced that. And, again, because there's such a shroud of lies coming out of there in terms of the White House administration, you can never know like who gave what to whom, when. But I think somebody made it. Actually, Kamala Harris herself, she was on Rachel Maddow the other night for a very lengthy interview. And she said, look, first and foremost, she gave her thoughts to the first family to make sure that they got through this. But then she went right into it, and rightfully so. She said, but the reckless attitude that 45 has about his own health, it even goes to his family. Like, if he treated it more seriously, we don't know who gave whom to what, or who gave what to whom, I should say. But the fact that they have it and everyone's still walking around him like it's nothing That's troubling. The fact that his son had it should have given him enough pause to be like, all right, maybe I need to take this more seriously. You know what I'm saying? But he's not doing that.
He's doing that because he's an egomaniac. He only cares about himself.
Matter of fact, he's running around these rallies wearing it like a badge of pride. Like, I had it and I'm good. So
yeah, I'm cured now. I'm cured.
Everybody else that has it, like, you guys are fine. It's like, well, what about the 10,000 plus people that actually have died from it, and the people who are, if not about to die from it, I mean, definitely scarred from it and in the hospital. I've heard now a lot of hospitals in the Midwest, Sham, are now getting back to the point where they're overflowing. So all that stuff I was saying 2 episodes ago, like, oh, medical community feels like they have it under control. That's not happening anymore. Because now we're back at 50,000 plus cases a day.
That's how they feel about that in Europe.
Yep. And Europe has backslid quite a bit. And, you know, that's scary because Europe took it seriously. You know, they had it bad at first and then they took it seriously. And I think looking at them, you could say, okay, they took it seriously and then they saw the good results and then they started opening back up. So if this is happening to them, imagine what's going to happen to us who did not take it seriously. And as you said, never really made it out of the first wave.
Exactly.
So it's a continuous wave. Yeah.
So Kamala will be back on the campaign trail on Monday. So her self-quarantining from campaigning activities are going to end this Sunday.
Probably after a couple of negative tests in a row. So that's good. That's good. Now, Sham, full disclosure, I saw none of the town halls this week. I believe you've seen at least some of at least Joe Biden's, if not 45's as well.
I saw the first one earlier in the week. And then the one that they had opposite each other, I can tell you that I did not even realize Joe Biden was having one at the same time because I was like, well, he already had one like Monday or Tuesday. So I didn't think that he was going to do one the same time as Donald Trump. So my aunt had texted me, and you know my aunt, she's really heavy into political. She texted me and said, are you watching your president on TV right now? And I'm like, no, because I was in the car driving around. And so when I came home, I turned it on. So I ended up watching Donald Trump's town hall, not knowing that Joe Biden had one as well. And part of the worry about that, and not from me, a lot of the political commentators, was that Trump's town hall was on NBC, which was simulcast on CNBC and also on MSNBC. And they thought it was kind of unfair that Joe Biden's was on ABC and singularly on ABC. So he wasn't able to get the reach that Trump was. But come to find out, it didn't matter because Joe Biden's ratings were higher, even though Donald Trump's town hall was on 3 different stations. So what I did catch was him just basically talking about, you know, what he plans to do with the coronavirus and, you know, basically saying that, you know, just passing the buck, saying, well, Joe didn't do this and Joe didn't do that and all this kind of stuff. But what I will tell you is that if you can go back and watch it, Savannah Guthrie was fantastic.
Good.
She held him 100% accountable for everything that he was spewing.
So was it mostly her and him? Or, I mean, I know in town halls, some they take a lot of questions, some they only take a few. So how was this one?
It was mostly him and her.
Okay.
But they did do some questions. And as he answered those questions, she interjected and held him accountable for some of the things that he was saying.
I'm so glad. I will make a point to watch it now. Savannah Guthrie's very good. She's been around a long time. I will make a point to do that then, because so basically what you're telling me is the question got asked, he would answer it. He would start either giving false information, ducking the question, whatever, and then she would bring him back to task to answering the question.
Exactly.
Excellent. That's what you're supposed to do.
He fumbled.
Moderating.
He fumbled when a gentleman asked him about how 4 years ago, you know, the Senate said that it was inappropriate to push through a nominee in an election year. And he said, y'all are fast tracking the nominee for the Supreme Court justice right now. And he was like, what do you say to a voter that thinks that's a hypocritical act? And he was like, President Obama would have done the same thing. No, he couldn't do the same thing. Like, that's the point.
Right.
And he's like, and I still have I've been the president for 3 years, not 4. So, it happened to come up, unfortunately, but there's still plenty of time, because even if I lose, I'm here until like January. He just kept fumbling.
Couldn't get his answer straight.
And basically, it goes back to what he said during the first debate. Look, I got the Senate, so poo you and get over it. That's basically what he was saying.
I mean, honestly, that's beyond hypocritical. That's incompetent. I have made their argument for them. It's a hypocritical argument, but all you got to say is Barack Obama. To your point, actually, the point that makes him fumble is the point they should actually be making. The difference is this: this is my first term. There's a chance I could be reelected. There was no chance Barack Obama could be reelected, and we knew there would be a new president. So make the country wait until there's an absolute new person in office. Whereas in my case, I am running for reelection. I could be the president, and it could be a continuous stream. That's a terrible argument, but at least it sounds like you have your talking point straight instead of fumbling over a question that you knew would be asked.
And you know what I'm saying? I love Savannah Guthrie, because then she said, well, I'll just say that in 2016, you were on another show, actually another morning show, and you were asked, should the Supreme Court nominate Justice Merrick Garland? And you said, I think the Senate should wait until the next president and let the president pick. Wow. Now, that was 8 months before the election. 3 weeks. She came with so many receipts. That's why I'm like, great. If you have the time, go back. That was just an example of one, but she had them all night long. She was outstanding.
It makes me wonder. So, okay, his town hall was a result of, and we talked about this, him backing out of the debate. So Correct. The debate was scheduled for that night, which would have been on ABC. So ABC couldn't get out of that. So they gave Joe Biden the time and made him a town hall. And to your point, they don't have cable affiliates, which is surprising because they're Disney. I would think Disney would have organized. Disney has 50 networks on cable.
They do.
They got ESPN. They got all this other stuff. All the
Disney channels.
Yeah. I mean,
they got a lot of channels.
They could have figured something out to be like, hey, we need one of our 50 channels to show this debate on cable so that we can spread it out. But anyway, the point being, so they were in a tight spot. But MSNBC, I'm glad you said that. The very interview that Rachel Maddow had Kamala Harris on, she kind of took a shot at her own network. She was like, for some reason, my network's going to be showing the president instead of what they should be showing, which is the debate that was supposed to be scheduled that he backed out of. But because we want to show the president, we're showing it. So do you have anything to say in front of that? And I was like, man, you lucky you Rachel Maddow, because I'm sure the studio heads weren't happy about that shot. But yeah, to the point that I was trying to make about Savannah Guthrie, I would have hoped she would have been the moderator. Now, if it had been ABC, it probably would have been Stephanopoulos, though, because they like to have him do the debates. So,
one more question that he was asked that was crazy. So there's a lady that came up. She was talking about how she was born here, but her parents were immigrants, and she asked, "What do you expect to pursue the previous efforts to cut the DACA program?" And then and then she talks about the majority of Republicans support the Dreamers program, and then he goes to talk about how DACA is different from Dreamers. And he's like, we're going to take care of DACA. We're going to take care of Dreamer. It's working right now. We're negotiating with aspects of immigration and immigration law. Then he starts talking about the wall and the border. And I'm like, bro.
It's like, we're going to take care of DACA. First of all, you tried to eliminate DACA. As a matter of fact, you did basically eliminate it. Yeah, we have to
and he's like, we're working hard on it, and you will be, I think, very happy over the course of the next year. Happy about what? You keeping people from coming into the country.
You know what strikes me about 45, which is hilarious? His policies are terrible. He's a racist. But when you confront him about stuff, he'll be like, well, now that I think about it, I guess we should do something. You know what I'm saying? He'll on the spot. He doesn't have the courage of his convictions because he lies so much. So even he's racist, right? But if a black person would walk up to him and be like, yo, why? this Confederate statue thing, he'd be like, man, you're right. We should take those down. Like, you know what I'm saying? He would say that. Like, if you were to say it to his face, he'd be like, yeah, no, take them down. Why not? Just because he doesn't care. He doesn't have any
He'll just say anything.
And he'll say anything. He's a liar.
Say anything. And of course, Savannah Guthrie had another receipt. She said, under your administration, no new applications for DACA are allowed. And you've made recipients now have to renew every year as opposed to every 2 years. So,
like here's the receipt.
DACA has been curtailed by your administration.
Here's the receipt of the opposite of everything you just said.
Right. And then he says, well, it's because of the pandemic.
Okay, now I gotta watch this.
You blame the pandemic for there being no new applicants for the DACA program that he tried to kill like 2 years ago.
Yo, listen, I really hope 45 gets defeated. But man, in terms of fodder, it's like if I don't know what to say, oh, the pandemic. I'm in the corner. You've been contradicting yourself for 15 minutes. That's because of the pandemic.
We've been waiting on something since July, July 2019. It's because of the pandemic.
The China virus. China put the virus over. Yeah, that's what he would say. The China virus. That's
it's China's fault that the DACA program has been halted.
The China virus.
That's pretty much. I mean, there's much more as you could probably surmise, but that's just some little nuggets.
Sure. Now I heard Joe did a very good job. There were people who, we've talked about it. I think in this campaign, Uncle Joe has steadily sort of gained positive momentum. In contrast to his opponent, but also I think he's kind of found his footing a little bit. He's eliminated a lot of the gaffes and stuff that he used to do. I think whoever got in his ear finally was like, look, man, you're kind of on cruise control here. You just round it out. And one thing I will say, I think the big push recently has been to show how decent of a guy he is personally. And that's worked. And what I've heard, that came across very well in the town hall. There were a lot of times where he took it to a very personal level, answered questions in a very direct and personal manner to the speaker, and acknowledged their questions, and didn't really play politics with it, but did a lot of good real world answers. So Joe Biden is in his best element. Sometimes he gets a little too folksy, but he's a regular person. He likes to play the regular Joe, so to speak. Mm-hmm. And I think when someone told him, look, man, you don't have to do a lot in this election. Just don't do something crazy. And yes, you can go out and actually be yourself. Just don't be try to be funny or try to be folksy. Just be natural and care about people. What you do, you're good. And I think he's accepted that, which is good. Yeah. So that's good.
I feel like although I didn't see his town hall, I did read some of the transcript, and I'm very comfortable with the way that he answered the questions. Mm-hmm. He takes a common sense approach to a lot of things, but you can also tell that he, as you said, he's a very personable individual. So he thinks about it and reflects. And I feel like because he's had so much personal trauma, he is a very empathetic figure. And I like that when he speaks on the policies that he's trying to put forth, he actually has a human approach to it.
He's a human. The thing about Joe Biden, keep going. Sorry. And
a lot of the questions were about the coronavirus. I mean, because obviously it's a hot button topic and it's a pandemic. And there was one particular lady that asked him specifically, what he would do about the vaccine. She actually voted for Donald Trump in 2016, and she's undecided now. Mm. And she commented on the fact that he and Senator Harris stated that they would not take a vaccine from Donald Trump, and that she knows that the vaccine would not be created by him, and it will be the doctors and scientists that, we presumably all trust. And she wanted to know if there was one made, before the end of the year, if he would take it. And then, Joe Biden eloquently stated, like, number one, President Trump talks about things that just aren't accurate.
Right. Correct.
But the point is that if the scientists, the body of scientists,
correct,
and it goes through all the phases, then you have to encourage people to take it.
Absolutely.
And I think what gets lost in translation is people hear things and then they don't comprehend what's actually being said. It's not like, oh, because President Trump said take it, you're not going to. No. He can say whatever he wants, but it has to be that the professionals who are making this vaccine have assured us that it is safe to take. So right. I like that he again
clarified
that in a way in which, you know, and at the end of it, she seemed very pleased with his answer and kind of, you know, I guess not a light bulb, but he said the right things. And I feel like those things are true. Like, all right, Donald Trump says there's a vaccine coming on November 1st. Well, we only in phase 1. So why in the world will we take a vaccine that hasn't gone through all 3 phases and is safe? That's stupid.
It was a sensible answer. And I know I keep going back to this interview, but I watched this entire interview with Kamala Harris because it was the longest I've seen her talk since she's been on the campaign or for her own presidency. So It was a very good interview. And she also addressed that because apparently that was considered, quote unquote, a gaffe that she said the same thing. Mm-hmm. And she said, look, Rachel, I'm going to just say it like this. Again, this is not political. People are trying to make it political and saying we're trying to make it political. I'm simply saying I'm not going to take a vaccine because Donald Trump told me to take it. That's long and short of it. If the scientists tell me to take it, I'll take it. If Donald Trump and only Donald Trump tells me to take it, I won't because he's a liar. It doesn't get more real than that.
Yeah. And
it doesn't get more real than that.
And I know common sense is uncommon, but that's common sense. Like,
it doesn't get more real than
that know what they're doing. Like,
yeah, this has nothing to do with politics. The man's a mountain. We just spent a whole segment. The man is a known liar. And does things for his own ends. And it's stupid to take something because someone told you to who's not qualified anyway. I don't care who it is. So I wouldn't take something just because Joe Biden told me to take it. If Uncle Tony came up there behind Joe Biden and told me to take it, then I'm considering it.
Yeah, he ain't about to say nothing like that anytime soon.
Right. Uncle Tony's sitting back here like, I don't know why all y'all sitting there talking about the vaccine. Like I've told y'all 6 months ago. It's not going to be ready.
I saw a meme of him recently where he's standing there like, y'all just don't listen.
To see the smile gradually turn upside down on Uncle Tony over the last few months, it's been one part disheartening, but another part but it's been comforting in the fact that I know this man is not going to play games. He spent his whole life devoted to this, and he's not going to let, anybody bully him. He don't care who the president is. If he's told you 3 months ago that the virus will not be ready to the spring, the vaccine will not be ready to the spring, the vaccine will not be ready to at least the spring, is what he said. He said, if we pushed our luck, maybe the end of the year. And even then, I will need to see plenty of tests. Mm-hmm. So that's where I'm going.
Other things I like that he did was he clarified his position on the 94 crime bill. He also clarified his position with the taxes, because to me, the tax situation is clear. The tax cuts were given to the 1%ers, because that Donald Trump keeps talking about how he has given all these tax cuts. But that's only like 10% of 1% of the population that actually received those cuts. Because I remember very clearly that I had to pay more and I was like, what the heck? And a lot of people that I work with were like, they never had to pay this much in taxes before ever. So him going out here spouting that he's made all these tax cuts only applied to a certain number of people.
Correct.
I like that he clarified that the tax increases are going to be on for people who make more than $400,000 a year. Mm-hmm. And that he clarified that the business tax cuts were lowered when the Democrats did it. So it's basically like the opposite of what Donald Trump has been saying like for the past month. So I don't know if that, clarifies things for people. I mean, I never believed what the other side was saying anyway, but I like that he went straight into it and was like, look, this is exactly what I'm doing. And this is why I'm doing it. And you will be better off from it.
He addressed questions, which is great. Mm-hmm. So good. Just small mention. And I'll make it small because I didn't watch these. We had the hearings for Amy Coney Barrett this week. I finally got her name right. The Supreme Court nominee.
Good job.
Right. And honestly, I didn't watch these. And I normally would watch something like this. But we know the outcome.
Yeah, I didn't want to watch it.
I am tired of watching things that I know the outcome.
She's going to be appointed.
Which I know the outcome. Exactly. So this is theater. So I didn't watch it. And the only headlines I got out of that was that apparently a question was asked, and I don't know the context or whatever, but the meat of it was that the question was, do you consider if someone used the N-word, so we can say it on a podcast, if someone calls someone a nigger, does that make the workplace a hostile environment?
She said no.
And she said no. Now, I don't know the whole totality of the question.
It don't matter.
But it don't matter. Because if you boil it down and that's the result, then yeah, she don't need to be on nobody's Supreme Court. But she will be. Now, let's get to some interesting stuff before we get off the news, Sham.
So, Ice Cube, our beloved Ice Cube, one of the best to ever do it lyrically.
Yep.
Has put his stamp on the political climate this year. First by how they've been saying putting their vote up for hostage. Charlemagne has been saying kind of like the same thing, like, yeah, we need promises to be able to vote for President Biden or whatever. Accountability.
Yeah.
So he has started something and started promoting a contract with Black America. And I'm saying that with quotation fingers, to help lift African Americans economically. So he's been wanting somebody's ear. So he had gone to Joe Biden's camp and he had gone to current administration under Donald Trump and, kind of went to both of them with this idea of finding out how they are going to use their platforms to help the African-American community. So it's been said that Joe Biden's camp wanted to wait until after the election, but Donald Trump, I guess, invited him into the White House. Actually, Jared Kushner invited him to the White House and they sat down and they made a deal. So apparently Donald Trump's camp had his own proposal where he's proposing like a $500 billion capital infusion into the Black community. And it was revealed publicly that was what Ice Cube had helped shape. And the president is calling that plan the Platinum Plan.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of like the background of where we are with Ice Cube.
So I'm glad you laid it out like that. I think that's a good way to lay it out because that's the way it's been presented. And that is the story. Now, Ice Cube has now made probably his fourth appearance about this since it came out. So Katrina Pearson, who we talked about a long time ago, she's a 45 surrogate, a horrible one. She's I believe she's mixed. She's definitely not 100% white, but she's in kind of the Tommy Lauren camp where she says just outrageous, stupid things. Candace Owens will be another person like this. Mm-hmm. So she's a 45 surrogate though. I don't know where her position is. She probably is like the new Omarosa where she has no title or no responsibilities. And she tweeted when 45 unveiled the Platinum Plan, and she tweeted and she added Ice Cube and said, "Thank you, Ice Cube, for being willing to work with us." I'm paraphrasing, but for being willing to work with us when no one else is. Leaders lead, haters hate.
Threw him straight under the bus.
I do remember that and threw him out there. So Ice Cube would probably even take issue with the way we just described what happened. Mm-hmm. That's what he's been doing all week. He would agree with the part about the fact that he had the contract with Black America. He would disagree with it being in quotes because he actually did call it that. Mm-hmm. And he would say, look, I had this contract with Black America where, and one thing there are a few things I'm giving him props for. Tangible asks. Mm-hmm. Tangible asks. There were tangible bullet points that he said he wanted to have addressed. And I don't even feel like he would view it that he sort of went to the campaign. I feel like he viewed it like he created it or whatever and then offered it to both campaigns. Like, these are some things that it would be in your best interest to address.
Oh, certainly. That's
certainly, you know what I'm saying?
It went
like,
down.
It's not like, oh, can you guys take time to meet with me or whatever. Mm-hmm. And then to your point, the Biden campaign, smart move, by the way. Okay, well, yeah, we can deal with all that. Like, if we even get in there, like, why waste everybody's time? We'll deal with that after. But yes, we acknowledge it. We acknowledge receipt of the message, and we will address it once we're in office. And then 45 people also smartly addressed it. And then they basically hijacked it for their own purposes.
Here's my problem. Are in office.
Because they are in office. Here's my problem. People are coming at Ice Cube like he sat in a room with 45 and crafted some agenda for black people, and then Ice Cube sold out. First and foremost, this whole sellout thing. I know I've called people sellout on the show, but that's when they've actually, I can provide evidence where they have sold out for a purpose.
Ben Carson.
Exactly. Candace Owens herself. Mm-hmm. Ice Cube presenting ideas and tangible asks and meeting with the even if he met with them. I don't even think he met with them, but even if he met with them,
he met with Jared Kushner.
He met with Jared Kushner, but like you said, meeting with them and then having your idea hijacked and twisted, and then having them come and at you in Twitter, to me, that is nowhere near selling out. So what the hell are these people talking about? They don't do any research at all. And I want them to come out with some ideas that don't involve just throwing stuff against the wall on social media to make themselves sound like social justice warriors. Number one. Number two, Ice Cube been out here putting in work for the culture forever. When we were sitting there talking about Jay-Z, I told with the NFL, even then, my problem with Jay was being allowed to be manipulated in that press conference and in that forum with Roger Goodell and not having the foresight to see what they were trying to do there and going along with it. Ice Cube has not gone along with this. That's the difference.
He's like, let me clarify. I have an idea and I presented it to both sides. It just so happens that one side wanted to meet and discuss the idea. But let's be clear, this doesn't mean that I am now a Trump supporter or even a Biden supporter, if you really want to put it out there. Right. It's just, I'm just a man out here trying to make change for the black community, basically, if you want to sum it up.
Now, exactly. And that's what makes me upset when people, now, there have been arguments about this to the cows come home. I understand the optics, but man, people need to look. You know the phrase, look to the forest beyond the trees, like look to the forest beyond the one tree at the front, at least. Like, what are y'all doing right now? Number one. Now, Ice Cube, here's my sort of asterisk to you. And I've said this before when we were sitting there talking about the ESPN people. I forget L. Duncan and Sage Steele and the whole like speaking for black people thing. When you come out and make a document called The Contract with Black America, that's a big, big document you're sitting there saying right now. Because basically what you're saying is, I'm speaking for all black people, and I've made my thoughts known on that. Black people have been ingrained in this country for so long that we are basically in parallel with the rest of the country. There's no homogenous black population. We have now, racism affects us all the same, and we are oppressed equally, but a black person in DC and a black person in Alabama and a black person in California may have different things that they care about. We have some basic things that we all care about, but I think we're not homogenous enough in that sense where you can make some blanket statement, give it to a politician and say, this address these things, and it will go like extra long way in getting you like the black vote. There is no such thing as the black vote. Black people, we are united in a lot of things, but I don't like documents or kind of sweeping statements of that nature. And then I also hate that it's always got to include prison reform and like criminal justice. Criminal justice does affect us all, but the point is that should not be at the top of our agenda all the time. This is Rashaka talking. Send your mail to me, but I'm just saying, don't step out there if you don't and speak for black people. We do not have a black president in the sense of president of the black nation with a black agenda. We don't.
To be fair, prison reform is very low on the list. It's like number 7.
I mean, good, but it's on there.
Yeah,
I said too.
It is.
You're right. Thank you.
It is.
I did see that too.
Look, I feel like there's enough in this contract to cover, anyone's needs.
Yeah.
And I don't feel like it's a ironclad thing. Whereas if a group of Black people wanted to add something to this, they could.
Yeah.
I think it's
that wasn't smoke for Ice Cube. Just to let you know.
No. Okay. I understand.
Cool.
As I'm looking at this contract, there are things on here that could be meaningful to many people and not just Black, to be honest.
Yeah.
What cracks me up is that at the bottom of it, it's like literally a contract and they want you to sign your name and agree.
Right. See, I guess I'm concerned with contract and Black America. They're Black people in America and they're a big population. But like, if we were to dive into the rabbit hole, what Black America means, that's a whole other podcast. You and I could create a whole podcast just for that.
Yeah, we're not going to do that.
Right.
But on the vein of being in Black America and, helping to build the community, a One Killer Mike has partnered with some other people to open a bank, which you said to me that you signed up for and you're on the waiting list?
Yes, I'm on the waiting list. I'm on the waiting list and I got a message. And I already forget the name, but I want to say it's Green something.
Greenwood.
Greenwood. Thank you. As soon as I saw the story, they had a link to the site and I signed up. I believe I'm like number 40,000 or something like that, which is great. That means everybody's signing up. And then I got an update like 2 days later. So the list is moving rapidly.
That's wonderful.
Yeah, it is. And I feel like this goes hand in hand with the story that you had put on the show or introduced to the show a few episodes ago now, but about Black Wall Street. This is how we build generational wealth for all our listeners who want to make that joke.
Wait, it's not just 25 grand?
Yeah, no, it's not the 25,000. You take the 25,000 and then you put it into this bank and then invest it on that exchange, and then we can talk.
Yeah,
but no, this is awesome. Look, Killer Mike, we haven't really overtly talked about him on the show, but I mean, you want to talk about somebody who has been out in the forefront, social issues, political issues. He is somebody who is requested as a guest on basically any political show that you want. Like, and then when they get him on there, it's not like he's happy to be there. They're happy to have him. And he goes out there and he speaks eloquently about just everything you want to talk about, he's ready for. And so when seeing him at the front of this project is not a surprise in any way, because this is the exact stuff that he's been talking about. He didn't just talk to hear himself talk.
Like, he walks it. He walks it like he talks. He walks that like I talk it. But yeah, so this bank is majority owned by Black and Latinx owners.
I think Latinx.
I cannot get that right. I'm gonna work on.
I'm getting better now. Latinx.
Lo siento, mis amigos. I will get it right.
See, at least you could say that. Yeah.
He partnered with Bounce TV founder Ryan Glover. And they started the bank, and also former Atlanta Mayor Andrew Young.
Yes.
And it's interesting because Killer Mike has been talking about this specific topic for well over a year now, maybe even like 2-3 years. And it's nice to see that this actually come to fruition, because as he's talking about it, you're like, yeah, we should have black banks. We should, blah, blah, blah. But he never actually said that he was working on one himself, from what I remember.
No, and I feel him. Yeah.
So when this actually happened, I was like, see, that's what I'm talking about. Speaking something and then actually making it happen. It's beautiful.
Yeah. And probably the reason he didn't is because as I've gotten older, I've started to, or understood this. Sometimes it's best not to talk about something until you actually complete it. Well,
yeah, because then people will try to keep you from doing it.
Exactly.
100%.
So, you can talk about the idea behind it and the philosophy behind it, but your specific plans, maybe sometimes keep them close to the vest. Then when it's done, it's done. So
absolutely. Right. So
yeah. So that's awesome. But the two rappers, very, very interesting stories. And like I said, Ice Cube is still like, as we've taped, I saw something 2 or 3 hours ago where he went somewhere and was, I don't want to say defending it, but I mean, clarifying what he's doing. People are coming after him for this. Ice Cube. Yeah, crazy. Well. So, but that's all the political and world news we got for tape. Let's go for some entertainment. We got a funny story coming up.
Can you feel it?
Man, somebody did. He took it. He took his song literally.
So we got word this week that Phil Collins pretty much threw his ex-wife out the house. But what's interesting about that is, like, first of all, why are you still living with your ex-wife?
Right. There were so many things I didn't understand about this. Like, and why y'all still live together? Yeah.
The more interesting thing is that he threw her out because his ex-wife married another dude.
So what was the arrangement? Why are y'all still living in the same house?
But they divorced.
Like completely divorced.
In 2006.
So I guess the question is, y'all been living together for 14 years in the same house. I guess maybe money-wise, you didn't want to have to pay for another house. The house is that big, y'all can leave your own lives. But Sham, I don't know why, but in my head, all I could think is he's just waking up like, I can feel it. When the wedding is going on, like something's in the air. I don't want to sing it because I butchered the song, but it's like, that's all I can think about when I think of this story. It's just him waking up, like him, like just startling up, like I can feel it. And then like when the drums come, like just running out. Yeah, when the drums come, him running out the room, like, where's this wedding happening at?
Nah, but seriously though,
Collins, what's going on, man?
This was one of the homes that he had. It was his Miami Beach house. So he wasn't like,
he wasn't in the house.
He wasn't in the house at the time, but it is one of the homes that is occupied by him, and it's his personal residence when he wants it to be. So whatever situations they had, you know, out when they divorced and how they split up the property and all that, this is not one of hers. So when she got married, she was like, well, look, you know, Phil got this house in Miami. We can just move into this.
I mean, you got married, is secret in one of his cribs. That's so disrespectful.
It did like plopped in there and made it their residence.
So here's the thing. This goes back to what I was thinking about with Alex Rodriguez.
Oh, God.
Talk about that. So they're divorced. He's probably have to pay alimony. So she got married in secret so she can keep them checks coming.
Oh, absolutely. That's why A-Rod's wife ain't married that dude.
Exactly.
They've been engaged for like 10 years.
Exactly. Got a whole kid, got a whole child.
Yep.
Together. He's gonna grow up, his parents living in sin, as the Catholics would like to say. Nah, but yeah, she's gonna marry in secret so she can keep that money. So that's why he's suing. He don't care that they got married.
But just look, they got married in Nevada. It's a public record. Like, come on, like, and the kids apparently was telling all the business.
I mean, kids tell. You can't have them in the room. Like, you can't tell them to keep it secret. They're gonna tell. They're gonna tell. Like, the dad's gonna ask, like, what'd you do this weekend? Oh, mommy got married in Vegas. What?
Yeah. So according to the lawsuit, Phil Collins is like, look, they have their own home they could live in and their own money to support themselves. So get them out of my Miami Beach house.
I mean, I want punitive damages for the disrespect.
And I want attorney's fees.
On its face. Who does this chick think she is? Matter of fact, I feel like they probably came to some kind of arrangement like, look, man, just don't disrespect me and we can kind of keep this situation cool. You're taking it easy probably on the alimony payment and you get to live your life. And when you're ready to move on, let me know so that I can stop sending these checks. But nah, you want to go a different way because you real comfortable.
Right.
Yeah.
It ain't happening. Get out.
I can feel it. Something's in the air tonight. I need a lawyer.
Getting up out of my house.
Yes. I need a lawyer out here. But yeah, Bill Collins.
That's hilarious.
Handle your business, Phil. Get them drums.
So as you know, I watch a lot of reality TV. That's my thing.
Yeah.
And since I've been a homeowner, I've been watching a lot of HGTV.
Okay.
Now, it's interesting because in the past, I would see stuff like HGTV and be like, "Ugh, these shows are so boring. Why do people watch this? Why do people watch this?" But they're actually not boring. And I think even if I hadn't bought a house, I still would watch them and be like, "Oh, these are very interesting." So one of the biggest shows on HGTV is called Property Brothers. I'm sure you might have seen the twins.
I've heard of that. Yes.
Yeah. And look, this is not a new thing. I'm late to the game. I understand. So I went back and I started watching season 1 and also on Love It or List It, which I've also seen every episode of, where they go into people's homes or they show people homes that need to be renovated, specifically with the Property Brothers. And with Love It or List It, they come in and they renovate your current home to see if whether you want to stay in it or if you want to list it and move someplace else.
Right.
But what these two shows have in common to me, and was so frustrating, is that when the designer comes to you and says, okay, we're going to do this, we're going to do this, we're going to do this, they give you an idea of how it's going to look. And the homeowners look at the person like, I don't think you can do this. And I don't believe you're going to be able to do this. Okay,
they balk.
Okay, if you didn't believe I could do this or have no faith in my ability to make this transformation, why are you here?
So, okay, I don't watch HGTV. I know the shows you're talking about, but I can relate to your frustration because I watch other shows like this, like Bar Rescue.
Oh my God. Like that, yes.
Where the person comes in. First of all, you're on the show because you're in trouble, which as a result, most of the time is of your own decision making.
Absolutely.
So your decision making process is flawed. And I like the fact that most of these shows, they're not trying to embarrass you, but they're really just laying out facts like, look, you've been losing money, you've been doing this, you've been doing that. You're in a tight spot for the last 6 months, a year, whatever. So we've kind of established that you don't have the best credibility in terms of deciding what's best for this.
Right.
And so now with that groundwork, you get an expert that comes in and tells you like, hey, this is what we need to do, blah, blah, blah. And then your first reaction is, well, you don't know what you're talking about? Really?
Dr. Fauci.
Right. Thank you. This is America and Dr. Fauci, or the Trump administration and Dr. Fauci. Where it's like, wait a minute, you asked for my help, essentially. And then you come in and I give you my help and you don't want to hear it. And then on top of that, you get an attitude and try to undermine me.
Like literally the other night, I was watching Love It or List It. And this couple had this really big house. It was from the 80s or whatever. And usually these shows happen in like North Carolina where like, the cost of living is way lower than here.
Yeah.
And, you can get a huge house for like what I pay for my townhouse.
Oh my God. Yeah.
So the lady is complaining about all the things that are wrong with the house. Like, oh my God, there's carpet in the bathroom. Who does this? Apparently you do. Because you bought this house 30 years ago and you left the damn carpet in the bathroom. Now you mad. Oh, this kitchen is too small. I can't move around in here. Oh, but you've had it for 30 years and you've been moving around in it. And then when Hillary comes in to tell you, okay, I'm going to do this, and this, you're like, no, I want to open concept. Okay, we got to tear down these walls. No, I don't want to tear down the walls. Well, what do you think open concept means, ma'am?
Yeah. It's like, and if you would ask them like, why don't you want to do it? It's just been like that for years. I don't like all these new things. Well, you know what? The old things are failure. The new thing is called success. Yeah. Like, what are you talking about? No, I agree. To your point, all the shows kind of have the same point. So I would enjoy that just like because in Bar Rescue, when he comes in, he's like, so listen, You need to change the menu. You need to change like the sign on the front. And they'll be like, well, that's part of our tradition. Okay, but nobody's in here.
Your tradition is failing.
Right. You're losing money. What are you doing? Yeah.
Yeah, you need to make the cost of this drink a little higher so you can get more revenue. Yeah, but people love this drink. Yeah, but no one's in here drinking it now.
And they don't buy it. You're saying these things to yourself, but they're not actually true. Like, it's not translating, and you're arguing with me. That's the point. You ask for my help and you're arguing with me. Man. And you're acting like I don't know what I'm talking about, and you know what you're talking about, when the exact opposite is true.
Very true. I felt really bad for the Property Brothers on those first few episodes, because I feel like people, because they didn't have much of a reputation yet as people who could flip homes, they just kept getting questioned every time. Like, they would walk into these homes, and obviously the homes were in bad shape, which is why they take them there. Like, they take them to these houses where they know that people can't afford it, just to show them, hey, this is what you asked for, but guess what? This is going to cost you 1.3 million and your budget is only 7. But this is Canadian dollars, so interpret it how you feel. And then he shows them what they can afford under 7, and it's like a pretty much run down home, and they walk into it and they're like, oh my God, look at the carpet, look at the walls, this is terrible, it smells bad. And he's like, yeah, it's not gonna smell like this because I'm gonna flip it. And they're like, then they go to the next room and they're like, oh my God, it's green again. Okay, it's just paint. And it's like, oh my God, this is so frustrating. Like, you would have to pay me a lot of money to deal with some stuff like that.
And you know what though? But I like shows like that, and I'm glad you brought this up. And when we're talking, because they do a good job on all these shows of showing, really business, especially when you're talking about like homes and a personal business. People take that, and they take that personally. That's what drives their decision making, not rationality, not the actual, a desire to make money or desire to have the best product, but it's a personal thing. In which the whole challenge of all these shows is to divorce the owner from the product, divorce their emotions from it, and like, let's look at everything factually and pragmatically. Like, that's it. Once you do that, everything, the project is smooth. But that's the rub of the show. It's like, can this person see beyond their own emotions? Can they make a decision that's beyond their family and their emotions and everything else? And a lot of people can't do that. And that's really what drives like everything in a lot of people's lives. And I think that's why people get drawn to these shows, because everyone has something in their life where they're like, you know what, like, it probably doesn't make much like economic sense that I do this, but this is in my family or whatever. And maybe I'm not the best person to make decisions on this.
Yeah, man, but they all end up with something 10 times greater than they could have ever imagined. And they feel stupid as hell at the end for even behaving. Do they
apologize adequately?
Actually, they do.
Most of them do.
They do. Most of them do. But let me tell you this. If Drew and Jonathan or Hillary or anybody from HGTV came in my house and was like, yeah, we need to do this. All right, I'm out. When you need me to come back?
I mean, you just got the house.
I don't even care. It's always something that could be better. Like, I
don't know if I would blindly accept everything. I would ask. But to your point, I wouldn't argue. Like, I'd be like, okay, well, in your case, I'd be like, I just got the house. Like, do I need to do that? Why? And I would have to make them explain it. But I wouldn't argue. I would be like, you don't know what you're talking about.
Heck no, because I've seen enough of these episodes to know that you indeed know what you're doing.
Yeah. But people get emotional. They get emotional. Yeah. That's the rub of the show.
Keeping it with reality before we move on to sports. So Real Housewives of Atlanta made some changes this year. Nene Leakes is no longer on the show, which, she left the show a few seasons ago and came back. Who knows? She's one of the original members. She's probably the most polarizing of all of them. And also Eva Marcel. Eva was the winner of season 2 of America's Next Top Model. I want to say it's season 3. Season 3 has had a pretty good acting and modeling career. And she left. So interestingly, one of the replacements is Drew Sidora. So I don't know if you ever watched the show The Game.
Absolutely.
And remember when Derwin cheated on Melanie? And
okay, so
broke up?
I'll put it this way. I watched like probably the first 3. I don't know how many seasons it was, but I feel like I watched 2 or 3. Yes, I do remember when they broke up, though. Yes.
So the end of season 1, Derwin was feeling himself and he cheated on Melanie.
Yes.
And it was with Drew Sidora.
Ah, okay.
So
here we go.
She is actually joining the cast of Real Housewives of Atlanta this year. So
is that like the last significant thing she's done?
I scrolled her Wikipedia and it seems that she's
the game was a minute ago.
Done a few movies here and there, but she's gotten married. Movies. She's had a couple children.
Okay, all right.
That's probably been her priority.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
More so than singing and acting.
Right. That's what we'll say.
Yeah. Right, cool. But yeah, so she'll be on there next season. So
all right, excellent. So kids must be, a little bit more grown. Take care of themselves. Get back into your career so we get this money.
They're school aged.
Yeah.
But let's get into some sports now.
Hey, Drew Sidora. I'm not trying to clown, but the catalog look a little light. But if the kids get, they know their mom. All right, cool.
That was a clear clown. Let's get into some sports.
Always ready. Always ready. All right, look. So NBA. Let's go ahead and wrap the NBA. So the Lakers have been crowned the champs. We've spent an inordinate amount of airtime talking about our differing views on this season. So we're good on that.
Yeah, Lakers won. Yay.
But they are the champs.
Hooray, hip, hip, hooray. Rah, so LeBron,
LeBreeze is, what is he, 4 for 10?
4 for 1,000 at this point.
Wow. Might as well be. But yeah. But props. Fine.
But the first to ever win a championship in 3 different cities and win finals MVP in 3 different cities. So that's, it's nothing to sniff at.
Yeah.
But
only intrigue there.
AD should have been the MVP.
I was about to say, a lot of people thought AD should have been the MVP. But I don't know. Any championship with LeBron is probably going to be him. Now, the more intriguing news out of NBA is the coaching carousel. A couple good big teams. So let's start with the Van Gundy brothers.
I miss the Van Gundys.
Yeah, they've been, we've been hearing them, calling games, and they're good at that. They're good at that, both of them.
And they're both excellent coaches. I feel like Jeff a little better than Stan.
Yeah, but they both, I think, proven that they can coach because they both been put in, especially Stan, especially in Orlando. I feel like he really earned his chops down there. And coached some basically middling teams to above their station. So I think he's good there. So look, both of them have been heavily considered, and both of them pretty much are in the same kind of position where they're heavily favored for a job. Jeff is heavily favored for Houston.
That would be the Jeff Van Gundy remix.
Yeah. Yep. Round 2 there. And then Stan is heavily favored for New Orleans. So what are your thoughts on Jeff? You and I talked about this a little bit or, exchanged some messages this week.
I feel like Jeff is, and I would say this for the both of them. They're like players coaches. Players seem to respect him a lot. Like, I remember when Jeff took over for Pat Riley with the Knicks, and he really brought some energy and life into that team. He did the same thing when he was with the Rockets the first time around. Like they did pretty well. Like he gets them to the playoffs. Like obviously he doesn't, he hasn't won a championship or anything, but if anything, they're going to have a solid regular season and get deep into the playoffs. I would like to see him actually get to a championship game. I think he was the coach in '99, that shortened season when the Knicks played the Spurs.
Yes, in the finals. Yeah, he was.
But yeah, I like him as a coach. I've always liked him. I've always enjoyed him. I like his coaching style. I feel like Stan is kind of the same way. And especially for a young team like the Pelicans, I actually think he's probably the best choice out of who's available right now for something like that.
I would have liked to have seen Stan there. Nothing against Alvin Gentry, but I would have liked to have seen Stan there when AD was there.
Yes.
That would have been. I think he would have gotten a lot out of him. And he probably still would have left. But still.
Well, yeah, he had to go with his boy.
Exactly.
Rich Paul.
Now, with Jeff, everything you said, just I'll rubber stamp cosign. The funny thing about Jeff that I always remember, you know what I'm about to say. The fight with the Heat, where he ran out there and was grabbing on people's legs and stuff. Ankle. Yeah, he was out there trying to scrap.
That was the best. He's right. That was.
He is. And honestly, I've said it on the show a million times, and I'll say it again. I credit Jeff Van Gundy for the flop rule in the NBA now, because he used to, as a commentator, not as a coach, but as a commentator, he used to rail on it when guys would flop during the games, especially like the Sunday games and stuff. And everyone felt that way at home.
Vlade Divac.
Exactly. And everyone felt that way. Well, I don't think he was commentating back then, but yes, Vlade Divac would be the best example. And everyone felt that way at home. And to hear an announcer, even though he was a color announcer, an announcer say it like that, he was like, yo, that should be a penalty, or that should be an infraction. And he kept saying every week, and I think it brought a spotlight to the issue. And now flopping is an infraction, and people do like pay more attention to it. So I credit him for that. I like how he coached the Rockets before. I think, was he coach when Dwight was there at some point? Maybe. I don't know. I'm not sure.
I feel like T-Mac was there, but
T-Mac was there. Yeah, it's been a while.
Yeah, it's been a while.
But yeah, no, I like it. Look, this is what I told Sham when she and I were talking about it earlier this week. I think Russ and Jeff Van Gundy will have a good relationship. Russ reminds me a lot of those Knicks players and that Knicks team. He has that kind of attitude. James Harden, that will remain to be seen. I will need to see James Harden. It's just James Harden has not proven to me that he's willing to do the little things. Now, he had kind of a decent little defensive resurgence. Not resurgence, uptick in the playoffs in the bubble. So clearly he's heard those chirps. But I don't know if I've seen a commitment from James Harden to not be all James Harden and more for the, advancement of the Rockets. And Jeff Van Gundy is not the type to sit there and he is a player's coach, to your point, players like him. But he's not going to sit here and let James Harden hijack the team from him. Like that can end badly if that's the case. But Russ is there, and if Russ is with him, I could see that going a positive direction.
Yeah.
So, and you said everything. There's nothing more I can say about staying in New Orleans. I think that'll be great. So. Good for them.
So last week or 2 weeks ago, Doc Rivers was fired from the Clippers and he went to Philadelphia.
Yep.
So that meant that the Clippers job was open, and that went to
Mr. Tyronn Lue,
his assistant.
Now, Sham, can someone tell me what Tyronn Lue has done besides coach LeBron James? And in that same sentence, remind me that in order to coach LeBron James, he essentially backstabbed David Blatt and got him fired to coach LeBron James in that finals. Now, I think they went to 2, if not 3 finals together as head coach. Tyronn Lue was there for all 3 of was it 3 or 4? Of LeBron been to so many finals, man. It's kind of
He was
crazy.
there for the 3 in Cleveland.
3 in Cleveland. Okay. So, right. They won 1 and lost 2.
Mm-hmm.
But I think he was the head coach for 2 of them.
Yeah,
right?
He was the head coach for the one that they won, and then the one they went back to the year after.
And lost. Mm-hmm. And then lasted, 10 games the following season? We talked about it on the show.
Yeah, Bron wasn't there anymore, so they had to
get rid of him. No more. So, to me, Tyronn Lue would have shown me what he had that season. The season after Bron left.
I think he was never meant to be the coach. I think it was one of those things where, okay, if this makes LeBron happy, let's go ahead and let this man be the head coach.
Exactly.
And then
so that's my whole point.
Braun left, it was like, all right, we don't need him no more.
And that's my whole point. So I guess I'm trying to figure out, why has Tyronn Lue like been so high on everybody's coaching list?
I have absolutely no idea. It's like whenever there is a coaching vacancy, his name is like the first to go to the top of the list. And look, the only thing Tyronn Lue has ever shown me is that he can be on the ground and Allen Iverson will step right over him if necessary. Like, that's it. It must be something. If something has to be said about his personality and the way that he works with people. I mean, honestly, there's nothing tangible to show, like on paper, obviously, that he is deserving of a head coaching job. Like, I don't get it.
Right. Now, if he were here, devil's advocate of my own point, he would say, I led a comeback against Golden State. Like, I coached a comeback against them. And against a 73-win team. And
you know what I would say to him?
What, Draymond Green was hurt?
No, I would say, did you though?
Right. LeBron James said that. Amongst other people. And Kyrie Irving. Like, stop. And neither one of them would call you their best coach. They wouldn't even call you their best coach. Much less call you to coach them now. So, yeah. So he's coaching the Clippers. You know, and we've talked about our concern about the Clippers and how they left this season. I think they would have been better served, even though it probably would have been a bad taste for everyone. Leave Doc Rivers in place and make them finish the job. I don't know how Tyronn Lue talks to Kawhi Leonard. Like, what does he say to him? What does he say? What does he say to Paul George? Like, what? You know, why should Kawhi Leonard, who's been running his own agenda in the NBA for the last like 3 or 4 years, listen to anything Tyronn Lue has to say? So
maybe he's the coach that he wanted. I have no idea.
Maybe so.
It's a mystery to me.
Maybe it's a LeBron James thing. Like, bring somebody in here who I can tell what to do.
Quite possibly, because
it could be like that.
If you think about it, like, I don't know what would be so different from last year. Like, if you were the assistant to the coach that got fired, I don't see how your philosophies would be that much different. So I don't know what positive change this could be.
Correct. And you know what this makes me think of, Sam? Again, I brought up the point of David Blatt, but this is legit how I think of Tyronn Lue. I've never been able to get out of my mind that he was calling plays behind David Blatt's back with LeBron James, and the fact that became public. So you're the assistant coach to Doc Rivers. You get a promotion. Were you doing that then here too?
Well, if he was, they weren't working.
Exactly.
At least he can say if he was doing that behind David Blatt's back and it led him to a championship. But if you was doing that behind Doc Rivers' back, it didn't lead to much but failure.
Right.
So
yeah. So crazy. All right. Well, so that's the NBA carousel in short. We're in the off season, so kudos. Well, again, kudos from me to the Lakers. Everybody else is kind of like whatever. NFL, what we got?
Well, Dan Quinn finally got fired.
I mean, finally. Good gracious.
I mean, how many games you got to lose, bro?
How many games you got to like try to lose? I feel like every week you're like, look, man, I just want to go home.
And so,
like, we're up by, what are we doing up by 7 with like 3 seconds left? Okay, everybody get away from me. I need to figure this out.
And so the Falcons promoted defensive coordinator Raheem Morris to interim head coach. And before you get started.
Go ahead. Go, please. You already know. You and I talked about it this week.
So, I know. Like, I was like, I heard the sigh. I was like, Raheem Morris is black. So this is a come up for the black contingent. Also, the general manager was fired. So
yes, Thomas Dimitroff.
Which I don't know. He has actually put together a decent team. Like, I don't understand why he's being fired, but okay. All right.
I mean, if I were him, I'd flip a table over like, so I'm getting fired because these guys can't cover onside kick.
Right. Why am I being fired?
Look, man, I know I'm the GM, but that wasn't one of the questions on the exam. Like, if there's an onside kick, do you pick the ball up?
I brought you to the well. It was Dan Quinn's job to make you drink. Like, why am I being fired? Because y'all didn't drink.
But okay.
Smoke is a coming. Let's hear it.
Look, all right, a couple things. In all fairness about the Dimitrov firing, I do agree that if you just look at it, just as him as a GM, he has brought talent in there, excellent talent, but the results have to come with him. So Arthur Blank probably was like, but, and he did tell them last year at the end of the year that both Dimitrov and Quinn would be brought back, but the expectation was to make the playoffs. I actually read that this week, and I had forgotten that. Arthur Blank basically put them on notice at the end of the year last year. So it was he gave them fair treatment. Like, we got to win games. Now, Raheem Morris. So I like it. I like how you said he is black. Yeah. If Raheem Morris had been white, maybe I'd have rooted for him just so I could see more of the white Raheem and who named him, so I can get his backstory. But look, Raheem Morris has been a head coach before. So Atlanta was in a unique situation. Very few teams in the league are. There's some teams like this where they have two former head coaches as their coordinators. Dirk Cutter is their offensive coordinator. In my opinion, they promoted the wrong coordinator. Okay. Atlanta's problem was their defense. Now, I'm not sitting here saying that
and special teams.
I mean, clearly special teams. But I mean, you can watch that onside kick 100 times and show it to a Pop Water team and be like, this is how you don't play football. Yeah. But anyway, look, I'm not saying Raheem Morris is in Dan Quinn's school of defense. Dan Quinn was a defense coordinator on the Pete Carroll in Seattle. So I don't know like what philosophy he took with him to Atlanta. But the point being, this was horrible. And if you were part of the defensive staff in Atlanta, you should not be promoted. Raheem Morris should be happy he kept his job in the first place. Ironically, that's an awkward room. Dirk Cutter and Raheem Morris were coaches of the exact same team that happens to be in the NFC South, Tampa. Raheem Morris was head coach like maybe 6-7 years ago. And then after that, they got Lovie Smith, and then they went to Dirk Cutter, and then they fired him. But the point being, they were all coaches in Tampa. Dirk Cutter, the offense has been fine. Now, Dirk Cutter doesn't have to do much because it's Matt Ryan and Julio Jones. But the point is, if I'm Dirk Cutter, I'm like, well, we ain't the problem. We've been scoring points. The defense been giving it up, and special teams don't know how to cover onside kick. So I should be the head coach. Now, that's my smoke. Atlanta's horrible. It's just point blank, period. From top to bottom. Arthur Blank, get it together. You promoted the wrong guy. But yes, they did shake up. And then finally for the Falcons, they had a COVID positive test yesterday. So they had to shut down the facility. So we don't know what's happening with their game.
So while we talking about coaches, Bill O'Brien was fired. We talked about that last week, and they promoted Romeo Crennel. And we also talked about how that could work out. And he actually
got his first win. Who's go? Houston, don't fall for it. And I know, listen, this episode is not going to reflect well on me because I'm going on these black coaches, Raheem Morris and now Romeo Crennel. But both of them, if you've been given an opportunity and, you haven't done well, you haven't done well. Neither one of them have been successful. So this is what it is. But they won their first game last week, yes.
Yeah, and everybody is celebrating, talking about he succeeds in making football fun again in Houston. I'm like, bro, it's one win. Come on.
They're going to give him the job, Sham.
They are going to give him a job. Did you realize that Romeo Crennel is 73 years old?
Romeo Crennel is dumb old. Like, yeah.
I did not know that.
He's been around for a minute. He was one of Belichick's coordinators when they won their first Super Bowl.
I know. He was there for the dynasty.
Yes. Matter of fact, he was a head coach in Cleveland for a while. He was a head coach in Cleveland and Kansas City.
Yeah. Yes. Remember, he after they won the third Super Bowl, he got the job in Cleveland.
Yes.
Yeah. He and Charlie Weiss both ended up getting jobs, and they both failed miserably at them.
Correct. That is exactly right. Charlie Weiss got the job in Notre Dame. And Romeo Crennel also, very tragic note. And look, this is why people like him. He kind of shepherded Kansas City. So I know I made light of the wins and losses, but when Javon Belcher committed suicide, he was the coach and he witnessed it. Javon Belcher did that in the parking lot of the facility and drove to the facility, and Romeo Crennel and everybody came out and tried to talk to him, and they couldn't reach him. And he committed suicide. And Romeo Crennel saw that. So anytime I think of him, I do think about the coaching and stuff, but I also thought about that. And it takes a strong, strong person to then kind of stay in that organization and shepherd everybody else when out of all the trauma besides Javon Belcher's family, he experienced probably the worst trauma besides the family because he saw it happen and was talking to him. So I respect him, but he shouldn't be nobody's head coach.
He should be a defensive coordinator for the rest of his life.
DC. Like Wade Phillips is, there's some people that's meant to be coordinators.
North Turner,
exactly. We were just thinking the same thing. Like North Turner, Wade Phillips. Like there's some people just a coordinator. You're a coordinator. Period.
And probably very soon Matt Patricia.
Matt Patricia need to be in somebody's film room. I don't like how he's been carrying himself in Detroit. I don't at all. He's not good. So, but anyway, look, COVID has been ravaging the NFL. The Titans played literally their fourth game. We were halfway through week 5, and they played their fourth game on Tuesday, like we talked about. Mm-hmm. Titans are looking good though. Yeah,
they undefeated. They beat the undefeated.
Yeah,
I mean they toyed around with the Bills. Like the Bills was like, sorry.
Yeah. Now the Titans are for real. And look, that was a game between two good teams. And to your point, the Bills didn't look very good there, but the Bills are still fine. But the COVID updates, Sham, I've come to the conclusion that the NFL has taken a philosophy that if they need to move a game to any day of the week to make it work, they will do it.
And they have every right to, because it's the NFL and people are still going to watch. And
people will still watch. And, I'm going to say this right now. This isn't a mea culpa. I'm not going to call it a kudos because I think the NFL still has a lot of problems in the way they react to things. But one thing I do like that they're doing is saying, okay, we have an outbreak. Let's handle it. And we'll put the game on Wednesday if we need to. Mm-hmm. That's the only day they haven't put it on yet. But I'm waiting for that one. And what they're doing is they're being proactive and they're moving games around. Now, does it look like scrambling? Yes. But I think that what the NFL is saying is we will complete this season no matter what.
They flex games anyway. So it's not like outside of the norm for them to move games around. It's just, that they're moving them on different days. But and then look, the other night, Thursday, I was like, dang, there's no football tonight. It's weird.
That's right.
But
and that's because one of the game that was supposed to be there was, I want to say it was Chiefs Bills. It was somebody that was that had played on Monday, so they couldn't do that.
Right.
And so here's the thing. It's actually easier to move games around because you don't have to worry about fans, or at least as many. You don't got to worry about refunds and stadiums and all this stuff. So they can say, if the game was on Monday at, 8:00, they can move it to Tuesday, 8:00. If you're one of those ignorant cities that's letting 6,000 fans in, that's fine. That's 6,000 as opposed to the 60 that normally would be there and would be complaining about ticket refunds and all that stuff. They can move games however they want.
Speaking of ignorant cities, let's add Baltimore and Landover to that list because Maryland has just announced that stadiums can hold 10%. So
what's Hulk Hogan doing?
For the Ravens, that is approximately 7,300. And for the Redskins, or I'm sorry, the Washington team, that's approximately 8,500 people.
Yeah. Hulk Hogan, he kind of folding on this kind of stuff, huh?
Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah, I guess so.
Guess the economy is struggling.
So let's do our so that's the COVID update. Let's do our little roundup on the NFL while we have a few minutes. I'm glad you started with Washington. Sham, the situation in Washington has gotten Washington like they can change the name of the team, but it's still gonna have the same deuce smell.
Can you see the look on my face?
Yes, I see it. You changing the name don't change the product.
Oh my God.
So, okay, we talked last week. They benched Dwayne Haskins. Now, here's how that situation got exponentially worse. Dwayne Haskins called out sick, essentially, for Sunday's game. On the Monday game or the Sunday game day, it was announced that he was sick and would not be at the stadium. He had already been demoted, so there was no question about him playing. But the fact of the matter is, apparently he was so sick he had to go home, and he's from here, so that's convenient. So here's the thing: there are one or two reasons why you can't be on the sideline. You are that hurt, like you are like injured to the point where you were injured before that game and you're in plain clothes and maybe you're rehabbing, whatever, you don't have to show up for the game. But if on game day, you're not on the sideline, I need you to be in the hospital.
Hey, man.
If you're sick.
He had to take a mental health day.
I mean, they say yes. So, I mean, I called it a tummy ache, basically. I mean, you had a tummy ache, you ain't come? Basically, you're out here kirking. Sham, there's already scuttled that they're trying to trade him.
Yeah, I heard.
Yeah.
Typical Washington.
Yeah. They're saying that his teammates don't like him anymore because apparently, even though they lost the game, when he threw for 300 yards, like that's all you heard come out of his mouth around the locker room after the game. I can't even contain myself if that's even remotely true. But the fact that it came out is funny. They said, my man was like, look, man, I'm not the problem. I'm out here throwing for 300 yards. Now, okay, so I was calmed down. Then Washington proceeds to put out Alex Smith. So
who is lucky to be alive and have a leg at this point.
Kyle Allen comes out for like 2 seconds, gets hurt immediately because they no longer have Trent Williams. So he gets hurt immediately in the game. Then Alex Smith comes out and then Sham. So all this is in the first half. So this season is like just falling in the abyss, like in 2 minutes. And their line is decimated. Alex Smith is out here getting pummeled. They keep showing his wife and his kids. You would think Alex Smith was on trial and like got convicted the way his wife was sitting there. Like she had her head in her hands. She was crying. It basically looked like she was crying. Now, at first it was supposed to be inspirational. Like, oh, okay, we knew he wanted to get back out there. But then it was like, no, she was genuinely worried. I was expecting a clip of her putting her hand over her kid's eyes, like, don't look at this. Because he was getting just destroyed. Kyle Allen got medically cleared to come back in the second half, and Ron Rivera would not put him in the game and left Alex Smith in the game. Washington is a mess, a complete mess.
A pretty mess.
Yeah, they always find a way. I read a story this week. They are still in trouble over their little extracurricular activities off the field. Dan Snyder and the whole cruises.
Yeah.
Did you see the quote?
I didn't see the quote, but I've been hearing stuff on sports radio about it.
I'll say the quote. I don't get vulgar that much on the show. Apparently, he said to the head of cheerleading, who's a man, around maybe 10, 12 years, the head of the cheerleading department, he said, keep them slim with nice tits or I will fucking kill you, was the exact quote that was in the Washington Post.
Whoa.
Exactly. And that was from the head cheerleader's mouth, or the head of cheerleading's mouth. So that was that's part of the problem there. But they're not good. All right. Birds, any update?
They're not good. Honestly, the last game, they weren't trash. They just couldn't close it. It was so hard to watch. It was like, oh man, this is they're actually playing very well. I mean, but look, the injuries keep mounting. Like Lane Johnson got carted off the field. Who knows if Alshon Jeffrey or Deshaun Jackson will even see a game this year. I talked about Dallas Goedert going down.
Deshaun Jackson's injuries that bad?
I mean, it's a hamstring. You know how those go.
Oh, okay. Right. Yeah. It's hard to get back in the flow. Yeah.
Right. So yeah, we're just the only bright light of our team is our outstanding decent defensive line. And like they can only do so much if the offense isn't percolating.
Who's on that?
Brandon Graham.
And who else?
Malik Jackson.
And one more person.
Derek Barnett.
There are 4 people, so we could do this all day. You're not gonna say his name?
Derek Barnett.
I guarantee you Fletcher Cox is having a good season, isn't he? You know, it's ironic. I mean, back from the first episode of the show, hey, Fletcher, I clowned you for it. And you know what? I need to look up that case in North Carolina and see how that's been resolved. And Fletcher, I know you're mad. I'll still bring it up, but I have to. But I'm at least trying to bring you honor out here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I will say this, though. The best performing player on that defensive line has no question been Brandon Graham. I mean, Fletcher Cox is who he is, but Brandon Graham has been balling. So that's cool. I'm not even going to front on that.
I'll say this one thing for the fam. Sham gave me a little addendum. So last 2 weeks, they won last week. So she was like, they won, still trash. And then this week, they were like, they're playing better. And then next message was, but still trash. Is that accurate?
It's very accurate.
Yeah.
Still trash.
Yeah.
And this week is not going to be easy. So let's call this 1-4-1.
Wait a minute. Who y'all playing? Who y'all got?
The Ravens.
Ooh. Where's it? Not that it matters that much, but.
Interestingly, though, we've fared well against the Ravens. We actually have a winning percentage against them. Like nice. We've beaten them. But I mean, it's not going to happen.
Where's the game? Where's the game being played?
I believe it's in Baltimore, but I will cross.
Yeah, like I was saying, it doesn't matter that much.
It doesn't.
I mean, to your point, if these rules have been lifted, so I guess the Ravens will have some fans there. But Philly's
close. I don't know when that starts.
Oh, okay. Well, Philly's close enough to Baltimore too, where if it were to start this week, enough Philly fans will be there where I think it'd be all right.
Oh no, it's in Philadelphia. So
okay. Yeah.
Oh, definitely. If it was, Philly fans show up. They go everywhere.
They go everywhere, and plus Baltimore is nothing from Philly.
Right down the street.
Yeah. All right. Cool. Cowboys. Big news. Dak. Oh Done. Man, that was tough to see, man. First of all, the injury was gruesome. I mean, his ankle was just destroyed.
It was like the Paul George injury, but
exactly. Or what's homeboy in Boston? White guy.
Went to Bradley.
Yeah.
Coach.
We know who we're talking about. And
Gordon Hayward.
Gordon Hayward. Thank you. It kind of like that, but with his ankle. And you saw it twisted all kinds of ways. And then him crying on the
Butler. I said Bradley.
Yeah, on Dak crying on the cart was tough to see. That's tough, And look, the immediate question is, what's Dallas going to do about that?
Put in the red rifle.
And you know what, Sam? I have a couple of Dallas friends. One of my best friends, you know him. Mm-hmm. He is just like not. He's kind of like throw the season in the garbage, which I understand.
Already in the garbage.
I understand what he means in terms of defense, but I'm up here like, you get Red Rifle in there. Red Rifle will probably say that, AJ Green hadn't even really been on the field for him like that. So,
and the offensive line in Dallas is way better than what he had.
Thank you. So this is what I was trying to tell him. If you were to talk to Red Rifle right now, he'd probably be like, look, this is the best situation I've been in years. And definitely, I have the coach, I have the team, I have the weapons. I could go out here and cook. And that's what I told him. Now I was like, defense is still terrible. I mean, he knows that. But the point being, Dallas can score. They'll be fine in that respect. I'm not trying to diminish. Dak as a football player is better than Andy Dalton. But putting Andy Dalton in there is not going to diminish what Dallas can do offensively, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
No, I agree.
So
I
think,
there's no, the tape on Andy Dalton is old.
Right.
So
it'll be fine. But Dak, that situation, that's horrible to see. And then we already talked Giants. I mean, whatever.
I don't even know why we mention them.
Yeah. I mean, all right. So notables around the league.
The Broncos cut Blake Bortles.
First of all, I didn't even know Blake Bortles was with the Broncos. I forgot who he had gone to.
Yeah, because Jacksonville kicked him to the curb.
Yes,
they were out of the Blake Bortles business, and I remember we mentioned that John Elway. Yeah, I don't know. John Elway needs to be fired.
He does. He needs to be fired. Like, just
been fired like 3 years ago.
Put a banner up to him. Put his number in the Ring of Honor or whatever. Matter of fact, if you're Denver, yes, go ahead and put a statue outside or whatever. That's fine. He don't need to be running your team.
He won you two, and he got you one as a team runner.
Yeah,
that's enough.
And I'm gonna say this: he was the quarterback for the two. He got you the 3 Super Bowls that y'all lost. Terrell Davis won y'all 2. But I mean, however y'all want to slice it, that's fine.
Right.
But don't have him running your team. Stop it. Look, staying in the AFC West. Smoke. Anthony Lynn, you have now been confirmed a liar.
And we said this was going to happen.
Exactly.
There is no way.
Yeah.
That he should have stepped out there and said that regardless, Tyrod Taylor is going to be the starter, because you cannot make that decision. And it's not something that you can just blanket out there so lightly, because the kid is playing well. And, Tyrod probably still got some freaking pain and a little injury from getting stabbed in the daggone lung.
Right.
So yeah, Anthony Lynn, I like you.
I still like you.
Your actions,
still to this point like you, but this is a bad look.
Horrible.
This is a bad look. I watched the Chargers game this weekend or last weekend, and they did a whole, the announcers and everything did a whole little montage about it, and they were talking about their interview with Anthony Lynn and how he talked about how he went to Tyrod and told him that he was no longer the starter. And they said Tyrod was not happy and upset, as he should have been. Because it's one thing, Tyrod Taylor is an adult at this point. Tell him he's not getting the job back. Don't tell him he's getting the job back and then don't give it to him. It's not acceptable. That's number one. Number two, Anthony Lynn, I've seen on interviews, has gotten an attitude where reporters are like challenging him on this. He's like, well, let me get this out the way right now, because, everyone's going to ask me about my decision to make Justin Herbert the starter. I just like how Justin has handled himself and da-da-da. And it's like, dude, don't get an attitude because you jumped out here and made a statement and now you're contradicting yourself. Like, own it and say, you know what? I shouldn't have said that. That was premature. That's all you got to say. You know who would do something like that? Mike Tomlin. He'd be like, you know what? I shouldn't have said that. Like, what was I talking about? Like, I've seen Mike Tomlin do stuff like that. Where he's like, yeah, that was premature for me to say that before I even saw how this would play out. And I've talked to Tyrod, and yes, he's upset, and I own that, and I shouldn't have done that. That's how you continue to coach winning football. It is completely unacceptable how Tyrod Taylor has been treated in LA.
In the National Football League.
In the National Football League as a whole. And again, what makes this worse, Sham? 2 of those coaches were us, brothers, doing this now. We are not protecting our own in there. And that's what makes me sick about that. All right, general roundup. So look, we already went through, we can go through like a general sweep of the division very fast. NFC North, Packers still balling. Bears balling. We were talking about it last week, so they're 4-1. Kirk Box and them, that situation is not looking good up there, Sham.
Not balling.
Kirk Fox in trouble. Matt Patricia, you need to be fired. We already talked about that.
Worse than not balling.
Right. South. Falcons, we already talked about y'all. Saints, y'all won. Breeze, man, it's kind of like up and down with him. He's not looking good. He's not looking bad, but he's looking old.
Which he is.
Yeah, but they got the win, so that's something. Carolina, Teddy Bridgewater, they won. They're looking okay.
They're actually balling. They're on a 3-game win streak.
Yes, they are. Yeah, so they're looking good, and that helps us Raiders
and also won. In that division, there's a 3-way tie for first: Saints, Buccaneers, Panthers, all 3-2.
Yep. So and Bucks, Tom and them, they lost the other night. And Sham, when we were taping the other night, one thing I didn't say about Tom, and we both saw it, but we didn't realize it at the time because it came out later. Tom Brady did not know that that 4th down pass was 4th down.
Oh, great.
Yeah. So when we saw that unfold, after we basically taped, they showed a tape of him holding up his hands as like that was 3rd down, right? So Tom out here, like the avocado shakes, he might need to put that down.
Yeah, he out here having senior moments. And
exactly.
He would be advised to not do that against Aaron Rodgers this week.
Correct. And exactly right. Couldn't have said it better. All right, and then the West,
Seahawks
Seattle,
balling. They balling.
Rams balling. Yeah. San Francisco.
Jimmy. Oh, Jimmy.
That was probably one of those like, wait, what moments of the week where you see a score across the ticker and you're like, can we check into that game and see what the hell is going on? Yeah. Miami went out to San Francisco and just dropped a bomb on them.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know what the hell is going on with Kyle Shanahan and those boys, but that situation is not looking good. So they're taking a step back. And then Arizona's looking good. Arizona's looking good. They
looking cute.
Yeah, they're surpassing my prediction. I was on here like, oh, they're gonna have a cute offense and do all this. They're actually winning. They're playing well. They play Dallas this week actually on Monday night. So
check that off.
Game. All right. So the AFC we got in the East. We got Buffalo. They took a loss to Tennessee. I think they'll still be fine.
Yeah.
New England reopened their facility. They're still battling COVID, but they're doing okay. They lost to New Orleans, right? Is that? Oh no, am I getting my games mixed up?
I think it's easy to get mixed up with all this shuffling around.
Yeah, I think New England's okay though. I think they won, so I think they're 3-2.
Oh, they lost to the Chiefs.
They lost to the Chiefs before we played them, right? So they've been off. That's correct. No, New England's game got moved. Their game with Buffalo got moved because of COVID. That's exactly what happened.
Yeah, they're playing the Broncos.
Yeah, they're playing. They're going to win that. Miami, we just said went out and Fitzpatrick. I mean, look, it's Gus. It's all good or all bad with him. So that is what it is.
And when it's good, it's really good. Which is
really good. And then the Jets. Sham.
Yeah, they're trash.
They cut Le'Veon Bell like he was nobody.
And then now
he signed with the Chiefs.
And only gets paid like $1.65 million. Like what a fall from grace.
And actually, before we taped, I saw Greg Williams got interviewed Friday about how horrible the defense is. Did you see that as well?
I saw that.
And my man was like, I mean, all the points scored against the Saints defense. That's all I'm going to say. Like that locker room is a disaster. Adam Gase needs to be fired. Greg Williams is a jerk though. Like yeah.
I'm still in disbelief that Greg Williams still has a job.
I don't understand it.
Like
I don't understand it.
He stays employed.
There was a time when he legit thought like he was going to be the coach of the Washington football team after Joe Gibbs left. And was mad when he didn't get the job. Yeah, like whatever.
Bye.
Yeah, bruh, like stop. AFC South, let's go there. Titans balling. Colts, man, look, I just got so much respect for your man Frank Reich. Even when they take a loss, like he is leading that team, man. But they're having a tough season. It's just tough for them.
Yeah, that was a tough game for them last weekend.
Yeah,
though. Like it was very winnable one too.
Yes.
And at times I thought they were going to do it, and then I was like, great, Phillip Rivers.
Yeah. Yep. Rivers, I mean, he's just a turnover machine, man.
He's old.
Like, stop. Yeah, and you're old. So we got Houston. We already talked about them. Got their first win, so good for them. And then Jacksonville's actually all right. They're better than what I would have thought.
What are you saying? They just lost 4 straight games.
I understand that, but I you know what? I think I had Jacksonville go 0-5 at this point. So like, one game, they can lose 6 straight games. I'll be like, well, they're not like 0-7. They're just 1-6, guys. They're doing all right. No, they're horrible.
Gardner Minshew is actually not bad.
That's what I was about to say. He's doing okay.
I had to pick him up for fantasy last week, and he produced he helped me win. Let me just say that. But they just need something going on there. They just need to tweak, and they'll get it together. In
fantasy, they're doing all right. In reality, they're not.
Yeah.
And then North, Pittsburgh. Now, Pittsburgh they've only played 4 games, but undefeated.
Yeah, they beat us last week, and that was a winnable game for us.
You had predicted y'all would get smashed, and and maybe you were speaking a little bit out of emotion. I don't think you really believe that. You knew y'all would compete, right? Yeah, I felt like y'all would compete. I felt like it would be close.
Well, we definitely play generally against Pittsburgh. We played very well.
Exactly. Yeah. So y'all competed. But Pittsburgh's coming out. Look, this one of years, Pittsburgh, again, I said in the preview episode, people don't think they'd be good. They're fine. Cleveland is playing well. I can't take it away from them. They're playing well. And are they 4-1? They are 4-1, I believe.
Mm-hmm. The Ravens and the Browns.
And the Ravens. Yeah. So competitive division. Both ways. But yeah, Ravens, your Super Bowl prediction is still looking fine because they could easily beat Pittsburgh or Cleveland. And in Cincinnati, Joe Burrow is still playing well, but they're not good. And then finally, the West, we beat Kansas City. Listen, I'll say on this podcast, I was not expecting it. I'm very happy. My Raiders took down the Chiefs. Our defense is still atrocious, Sham. We are probably the 3rd worst defense in the league besides Dallas, and I forget who in terms of points, but we could put up the points. So everything I wanted in that game, I got. Derek Carr played well. Josh Jacobs played well. Darren Waller, your man, played well. I always call him your man because hopefully you had him starting for fantasy, correct?
Of course I did, and I'm very sad about that this week because y'all have a bye.
Yes, we are. Yes, we do. So we have 2 weeks. Man, Raider Nation, we are just like going ape over this, but we need to calm down and like keep going through the season. But yeah, we beat Kansas City. So, and then we already talked about Denver and what they're doing. And finally, the Chargers, we already talked about them. So that's NFL roundup.
They deserve everything that's happening to them because they're just trash team.
So Chargers are 1-4 and Denver's 1-4. We are 3-2 and Kansas City's 4-1. So that is the NFL.
So moving on to an Olympic sport, which
here's the smoke. 4-time world champion swimmer Daya Sato.
Very good.
Okay, has been axed as Japan's captain for the Tokyo Olympics because he had an affair. That's the story. That to me is completely ridiculous.
But but you know why it's not ridiculous?
Why?
Because his wife is also a swimmer.
So what?
So that's conduct detrimental to the team.
So what?
What do you mean? So what?
He is the Michael Phelps of Japan.
Not really.
You know what I'm trying to say. He's their guy.
He won the bronze in Rio. He's expendable.
For 4-time world champion swimmer. And I believe they say he was the captain.
He was the captain.
That is none of nobody's business.
Yeah, it's conduct.
Let's get this medal.
It's conduct detrimental to the team.
Shan,
and look,
you support this?
This is Japan.
I understand that.
You get trust me for walking incorrectly. Like,
trust me. I'm not. I understand why it happened in terms of it's a different culture. What I'm saying is, if I were to talk to them, I would be respectful, but I'd be like respectfully, like y'all are tripping. Are y'all trying to get this medal or not?
They're gonna get it with somebody else.
Right.
They got somebody in in the queue, ready. they good.
I mean, the Olympics mean a lot to a lot of countries, and Japan is one of them. Japan takes the Olympics seriously, and it's look. I mean, will we disqualify LeBron James from the Olympics if he stepped out on his wife? Which
absolutely not.
Which LeBron has never, by the way.
Well, yeah, absolutely not. But we're not a country that takes pride in how we look to the rest of the look. Based on who we have, based on who we have in charge, we know that this country doesn't care how it looks to other nations.
Yeah, but we kind of look like a clown show.
In Asian countries, they do not take lightly to appearances and how things make them look. So that's why I'm just kind of like, you can't even it's an apples and oranges thing to even compare to anything we would do here.
The story drive, I guess, to your point, the story drives the point home, how apples and oranges it is. Because for them, you read this story, you would have thought he killed somebody. That's how serious the tone of the story is, where it's she's on the team and it's a huge scandal. And then his statement was you would have thought he killed someone. He was like, I'm so sorry. I can't believe this. I let everybody down. I'm sorry. And you say that when you have an affair, but he was on some I failed my country.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. That's how they look at it. And he's the world record holder in the 200-meter butterfly and the 400 IM. Those are both records that Michael Phelps held at one point.
Again, the Michael Phelps of Japan. I think it's an accurate comparison. In Japan, I guess they have more character than us, I guess is where the story.
Way more. Yeah. They're we can find another you.
You can't be cheating on your wife, and she's on the team, Slim. She's in the office. What are you doing?
Yeah, man, that's messy. We don't like messiness out here.
But, I'm not an ends justify the means guy most of the time, but we talking about the Olympics. It's once every 4 years. Let's get everybody out there. Let's get these medals, and then we could work everything out after that. That's that. If Rashaka was running the Olympic Committee in Japan, so that's that.
All right, Major League Baseball playoffs. Tampa Bay balling.
Houston, unfortunately, balling. Interesting thing about the Houston Astros, we've talked about them, especially at the beginning of the season. It was actually a blessing. The pandemic was a blessing in disguise for them, Shan, because they didn't have to play in stadiums. If they had played in stadiums, they would not be in these playoffs doing this, because the treatment they would have been getting is crazy. But now the Houston Astros could be on the verge of going to World Series.
So Atlanta is leading the Dodgers right now.
I kind of want Atlanta to win, just so that if they win the whole World Series and bring it back to the division, it will be kind of a in your face to the Nationals, who I felt needed it this season for the horrible performance they put on.
Yeah, but you think about it, that says a lot. That says a lot positively for your division as well, because then you're looking at back-to-back out of that same division.
Exactly.
So that'd be great. But they're up 3-2 on the Dodgers. So if they win today, I want to say they're just going to be waiting on Tampa Bay and Houston, who I don't even think they've started yet.
Yeah, and Dodgers are up 3-0, top two in their series right now. So if the Dodgers keep on like this, it looks like it might go to a 7. Anyway.
All right, so we're both kind of looking forward to a Braves whoever World Series.
Yeah, whoever.
I'd actually like to see Tampa in it.
Yeah, me too.
They deserve it.
Houston doesn't deserve to go to World Series, because what they'll do is say, we were good enough to get here without cheating. Mm-hmm. And so they'll say all that stuff y'all are talking about, that smoke and mirrors, and I guess it was cheating, but all the people who said we should have had our stuff taken away are wrong, and that's not right to me. So.
Hey, Nick Markakis.
Oh my God.
Yeah, that wraps up this episode of the Stop Playing Podcast with Sham and Shaka. As always, you can find us on Facebook and Instagram at the Stop Playing Podcast, and on Twitter at Stop_Playing Pod. You can listen to us on any podcast platform out there. Just choose your preferred one. If you listen to us on Apple Podcasts, please leave a review. And like we always say, keep your chips on the plate unless it's the podcast. No double dipping. We'll see you next time.
Stop playing.